Now, we're never going to alter, from my point of view, I don't wish to alter the values of the National Health Service, the best available treatment based on need, not on the ability to pay, funded through taxation, free at the point of use. But at the same time as that gives us something unique in the world, a degree of equality of access to healthcare services, which is vital for social solidarity. The title of the white paper last year was Liberating the NHS, Equity and Excellence. And driving toward excellence is what we now need to do. And that is going to be about clinical leadership. Keep the values of the NHS, but move into 21st century medicine so that we really aim for the best possible outcomes based on the evidence. And if we can, if our goal is to have outcomes as good as the best in the world, we should do everything we can to help patients and their doctors to choose the best available care. Now, vital to this, I'll just have one example of how I think this really can be made to happen. It's publication of clear and transparent outcomes data. When you look, for example, at cardiac surgeons, there's a long history to this. I can remember talking to Sam Nashef at Papworth about 15 years ago. Papworth is in my constituency. Talking about the acquisition of data from cardiac surgeons of their mortality rates following surgery. And they were wrestling for years with issues of case mix adjustment and strictly comparable data. But they did it. And then when they did it, they had the data themselves and they took a conscious decision and the right decision that it should be published. And once they started to do that, things really then began to shift. Standing in the spotlight can always be a difficult thing to do, but they took that decision and the patients were the beneficiaries. Over 5 years since they took that decision, they started with survival rates after cardiac surgery at about the European average, now amongst the best in Europe. Halved death rates from cardiac surgery. I think that is an important, reproducible example of how we can do this thing. See, the National Cancer Intelligence Network published just last month mortality rates 30 days following surgery for bowel cancer. The figure was 5.8%. But of course the point was that the lowest figure was 1.7% at one hospital trust, 15.6% at the other end of the range. Now, you know and I know, because this is the kind of conversation I can remember having with cardiac surgeons, there will be reasons, there may be perfectly explicable reasons for some degree of variation. The point, however, is equally we know, that there will be variation that is not explicable and should not be happening. And the process of shifting to ensure that we really look hard at how data and evidence drives performance, and patients and their referring clinicians can really exercise informed choice. Because that's where we need to be. That choice, we're not having competition in the NHS for its own sake. We're only having competition in order to deliver choice for patients and referring clinicians. Because if you don't have some degree of choice, I don't think when this variation is exposed, we're actually going to have any ability for that to really drive incentives to deliver much better care. So from my point of view, it's about mobilising that sense of choice. It's about mobilising that focus on what is the pathway of care that we're looking for, so people can exercise choice in a way that is designed to deliver them the best possible care. And it's bringing together clinicians to ensure that they take the responsibility for designing care, for leading the commissioning with patients, and for putting together the greater opportunities for improving care for the long term. Now, within all that context, I want to do all we can to promote and support not only today's NHS leaders, but the leaders of tomorrow. That's the National Leadership Council's Fellowship Programme. That's about you. The programme provides training and practical opportunities people need to really grow as leaders. As far as I'm concerned, this is not a management training issue. It's about leadership. And leadership and management need to be understood to be different. It could be clinical leadership, it can be service leadership, it can be the leadership of organisations, but actually the central characteristics of leadership are the same, even if the management task may be very different. And what we're looking for here is the support for leaders in the future. Already 80 fellows have had a tremendous impact on local health services, and I've had an opportunity, I hope I'll have another before I have to go to look at some of the poster presentations showing how that is working. Of Elizabeth Roberts working with colleagues at Bournemouth and Christchurch Hospital to look at organisational barriers getting in the way of clinicians helping people with difficulty swallowing after a stroke. Or Piyush, I met Piyush, who's working to engage junior doctors to improve patient safety as part of the QUIP programme, including a Dragon's Den style session for innovative patient safety ideas. Or Rory McGoldcrick from the Sheffield Kidney Institute, I did meet Rory, I think, who brought together physicians, surgeons, anaesthetists and allied health professionals to overhaul their approach to patient recovery following a transplant. The result was a fall in the length of stay in hospital, while readmission rates and complication rates remained the same. Work of fellows is having a real impact right now, and experience of leadership will continue to have a growing impact throughout the careers of fellows, and I hope you will be ambassadors telling people precisely that. And telling them that because I'm very pleased to be able to announce today that we will provide funding for at least another 60 fellows, every one of whom will make their own individual mark on their local NHS. Collectively, I hope will make a real and lasting difference to the leadership within the health service as a whole. Strong clinical leadership is not about taking clinicians away from the care of their patients or turning people into bureaucrats. It's about equipping people who have the closest relationship with patients, the greatest responsibility for the care of patients, with the skills and the authority to lead the service in maximising the results for patients. It's what any organisation needs if it wants to deliver the best outcomes. It's what the National Leadership Council is going to deliver for the National Health Service right across the country. Thank you very much.